Greetings and welcome. I'm Psychic Medium Roberto, and I truly hope you're doing well. I'm recording this episode on the November the 7th. Trigger warning: the subject matter is of a mature nature and deals with true crime events. All cases are treated as alleged until proven in a court of law. So I'm actually in the middle of a case, private case, blessings. And while taking a break, this story popped up on my dashboard. Lindsay, is it Rimer? Please excuse the pronunciation. Lindsay's anniversary of her passing is 30 years today, on the November the 7th. And of course, unfortunately, there's still no outcome. Now, it's reported that Lindsay, and I know very little about the case except for the dates and times. On a brief research scan, I see there is some controversy. Having done my own review, and of course, I'm cognizant that her sisters are pushing for justice. Now, the alleged event takes place on November the 7th. Sometime after, I believe it's 10, 11 in the evening, there is a supposed CCTV footage of her in the shop late at night here, in the zone here. But what I find strange, having looked at the website about her case, that she was only reported missing November the 8th. Now, as the narrative goes, is that she picked up money from her mom. She was coming from some kind of club or place, went to go buy cereal, and supposedly also last seen at a bus stop. Just after being at the convenience store. But I only found that information out after I did the review. So that's what I know about the case. The November the 7th, I've already got problematic numbers here. So the day begins with a 7. And there's an 18-9 in the middle of the day. Now keep it in mind, she goes missing on November the 7th, and she is only discovered on April the 12th in a nearby canal, water. Okay. And apparently she had been weighed down with a large stone. So that's why she hadn't been discovered. And effectively, she was only discovered 6 months later. And also another perturbing point is a murder case was only opened then April 12, even though she had been missing for 6 months already. So for me, there's already some anomalies. And I've picked up anomalies in this sequence of events. And I'll tell you right now, I just question the timeline, given, and I know this may upset some people, but given that there is CCTV footage of her, and I actually had that picture, but there's just something didn't feel right for me. And of course, there's an eyewitness that apparently sees her sitting at a bus stop late in the evening on the 7th. Now, arguably it could have been anyone else, but I mean, why is a young girl who apparently is about 13 at the time running around at night after 10, catching buses, buying milk or cereal or whatever it was? That's also problematic for me. But be that as it may, there's another date here. So these are the parents here. There's another date, 14 of November. This poster goes out, so we can use that date as well, and get a sense of what is that all about. Now, last bit of information, I am aware, or I read that there were issues in the home. So I've been cognizant of that as well. So leading up to the 7th, we have the 4th, 5th, and 6th. And for me, November the 5th and November the 6th are problematic, and I'll explain why. Let's just say Lindsay's numbers, born February 17, 1981. We see now the dominant presence of 19, 10, 1. And she has 3 of those. And her life path is an 11, 2, and she also has the 38, 29, and so on. So we actually see her here. This is very reflective of Lindsay's numbers here. And of course, the issue in the middle of the day is we have a 15, 6, which can bring around issues. Now, with this 15, 6, and we go into, and I just want to point out as well, 1994, we're in a 5-year, okay? It's going to play a significant part. Now, November the 4th, now effectively, there's no bad numbers here, technically, except to say, okay, well, we see Lindsay fully present here. Now, when we go into November the 5th is where we start seeing some issues. Of course, the day starts with a 5. Now, given the context that we're in an abusive, let's just say negative environment, as well as she goes missing and found deceased later. So if we're in the house and we see a 5, so there's going to be problems. Now, because we're in a 5-year, now we have 3 5s. And that's going to be, this is going to be issues. These are issues, 5 are issues that come from humans. And unfortunately, in the home, we see a 16, 7, which speaks about serial behavior. Negative serial behavior. And the reason why I'm saying negative, one, obviously the context we find ourselves in, but we've got too many 5s here. And 5 always brings around human issues. 5s can only come from human issues. And we see the outcome here, 39, 12, 3. So, and the 33. So now we're seeing highly abusive numbers. And these are the kind of numbers you don't want around children, is because these kids are being restrained in some way, whether it be physically, mentally, whatever it is. There's pressure in this household for sure. Now, what also concerns me is we see this 30 outcome 3 here. And in my opinion, this 30, with an outcome 3 can only come from one person, the matriarch in the house, the mother. So what has brought about this outburst? Now, you recall we have a 15-6, which can be a negative element, which impacts Lindsay. That the next day, it's common knowledge, well, at least between the adults, that there's been an issue, there's been an infringement here. And the dominant female energy has an outburst. Now, when we go into November the 6th, we see the presence of a 40, outcome 4, so that speaks now to the male energy. So why is it impacting the dominant male energy in the house? And then once the male gets involved, we see a ghastly number here, 31-4. So 31-4 can either be breaking up of a family, because we are in a family environment. So there's been some kind of breakup in the family. It can unfortunately also speak to a passing of sorts. There's a passing here. And an ending. Now, this is what bothers me about the alleged day, is that on November the 7th, given what I've just said, and the numbers are here, I'm not making it up, we see a 7 here. 7 speaks about a death of innocence. 7 is a death of innocence. Who's the innocent one here? We have an 18-9 in the middle of this day. It speaks about murder. Now, why would there be a 41-5 at night time? The same time that Lindsay is alleged to have gone to the shops. Convenient that we can send her to the shops. 41-5 is what happens to a body after the fact. November the 7th ends with a 14-5. So there is nonsense and bullshit in the air, lies. Now, the reason why I believe this all takes place within the home, or the source of the issue, is because we see here, so if we look at these numbers here, these are all family numbers. There's a family breakup here, which in a sense speaks to this number here. Now this is scary, realizing what I've just done here. So we've got a feminine outburst, dominant female outburst. Then now we have the next day we have typically we have a corpse. Then we have a 41-5 is moving that corpse around. We saw this in the Gabby Petito case. And what is the outcome? The known outcome is 42-6. The family is divided. There's a physical break in the family. 24-6 is the family number, 24-6. And when you have 42-6, the opposite is the destruction of a family. Here's a destructive number again, 32-5, destruction. This is moving the body around here at dark, when it's dark. Because if we believe the narrative that she goes missing at night, late at night includes all of these numbers here. So now we go here. And the supposed night that she goes missing ends with, ends with 19-10-1. So who is, they know already. 19-10-1. 19-10-1. So whatever happens on the November the 4th triggers off a major storm where we see all these other fives, and that is bad behavior numbers, 16-7 repetitive behavior numbers, and now someone's taking control of the situation, which ultimately ends in a homicide. And the impact here is falling on the male, dominant male energy, 40 outcome 4. So it's interesting when I brought the photograph of the CCTV footage, and I was going to use it as part of the thumbnail. I was going to use it as a talking piece. I deleted it, and then when I was doing a bit more research, there's even discrepancies around this footage apparently, whether it was actually her or not. So let's just say November 6th is the D-Day, right? Because in my opinion, there's already a death by November the 7th. When that sun rises on November the 7th, there's already a passing. Which means, look here, which means November the 9th becomes the reflective day +3 for the 6th. Hear me out on this one, because according to the autopsy, strangulation is how she passed. So if we take it now on the literal, and there's the +3 there, right? 16/7 is strangulation. (43/7), there's a staging that's occurred here. 43/7 made to look like. Confirmed again, staging. 26/8, and by coincidence there's a 44/8. This was all planned, premeditated, post the event, which would have been, my red block goes here. Could even go, I mean, I briefly felt what the energy was like inside the house there, and I can tell you now, it is not pleasant. Almost like Harmony Montgomery's household, just complete dread in that house. Complete dread. So here's the red zone for me. We see the strangulation. We see there's a hidden outburst here. Remember, here's the outburst here. Outcome 2 also brings other issues. If, and I've been told to make it pink, was she pregnant? Outcome 2 is a pregnancy. 11/2 is unlawful. For me, the timeline of events does not make sense. And again, it's confirmed. Whoever hurt Lindsay was a family member or a relative or someone within the first periphery that she would see on a daily basis. And here's this 15/6 here as well. Whoever this person was familiar to her, to the family, and was inside the family even, in my opinion. So what was going on? And I find it very peculiar that the murder case was only opened in April 12. Come on. So what does the date of the discovery reveal for us? Here's this repetitive behavior, 16/7. 40 outcome 4, dominant male energy. And there we see the death. Let's do this. For T, outcome 4, 31/4 sequence. Where do we find it? Right here. Right here. 16/7, remember I spoke about that? 16/7 here. This is behavior before something happens to her. We also pick up the 39, 12, 3, 30 outcome 3 sequence here. And we see the same sequence here. So in my opinion, the event day is November the 6th. Can even be between November the 5th, November the 6th. In my opinion, the timeline is wrong according to the narrative. And if we want to be specific, and of course we want to be specific, according to the discovery of Lindsay, the event takes place here. As mentioned, I know zero about this case. It pinged on me. Obviously, there's been messaging going out on her anniversary of her passing. But in my opinion, the real timeline where things go down is here. These 3 days. And what we know about the story is a lie. So unfortunately, if we go +9 on the November the 9th, that 20 becomes 29, 11, 2. That says two were murdered. 2. Did they ever pick that up in the autopsy? That she might have been pregnant? Did they even do a pregnancy test? And the person responsible are both 30 outcome 3, 40 outcome 4. These 2 people, and I'm not sure if they're living or not, have the answers. Hey Mom. As ghastly as this case is, in my humble opinion, it happened within the homes of the household. And her body, she's passed here already, gets moved on the night they say she goes missing, was moved. Actually, good point. Let's just see for water. If we had to look for water, you see, this is another thing. I don't believe she died in water. She might have been placed in water, but I believe she would have died on land. 22:4, earth, earth, earth. She died on land. I believe she died on land. The +6 of November the 5th is the 11th, and we have an 11 + 11 conflict. So there was a law broken within this home regarding children, unfortunately, in my opinion. It's uncanny the day that she is discovered matches the sequence of events as we know it. I think the country was fooled when they believe it was an external source that was involved here, but I believe it started in the home. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, please leave your thoughts and comments. I do love engage with them. Please stay safe, stay alert, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.